Hi everyone, I'm Shelly from There's No Place Like Home at redheadmom8.wordpress.com. This time of year is actually the second most common time of year for people to start homeschooling. People will usually start homeschooling at either the beginning of the year or during or right after the Christmas break. So I thought that now would be a good time to share with you how to choose homeschool curriculum. First of all, just let me point out that there is no one surefire way to find the right homeschool curriculum. It is all about trial and error, and the whole process, like homeschooling, looks different for every family. But what I did want to share with you today, though, was just some tips to make things easier for you, because I know how intimidating it can be when you're not really sure of what you're doing. So first of all, I really just want to point out that you don't need curriculum to start homeschooling. I know that that's really often what a lot of people do when they decide that they're going to homeschool. They jump right into looking for curriculum online and they purchase something so that they have it ready for when they pull their kids out and can get started right away. But I'm going to really reiterate what I have said in several of my videos, in that you really don't want to do that. You want to be able to take the time to deschool, and you want to be able to take the time to just watch your kids and figure out how it is that they like to learn, what it is that they like to do. And I also want you to think about how you yourself, as the homeschooling parent, like to do things. It can be really, really easy to forget about the parent when it comes to choosing homeschool curriculum. You know, a lot of parents have heard about finding your child's learning style, but you haven't realized that you as the parent, you need to have some input into this as well. Because while your child, on the one hand, might be someone who is really crafty and likes to do lots of hands-on messy activities, if you as the parent really have an aversion to that sort of thing, you might find it hard to cope if you do jump into a curriculum that has lots of activities like that, if you're not really thinking about what you as the parent can handle. And so a lot of times it really just comes down to finding a happy medium in those things. And another thing that I want to just remind you is that you don't have to turn to textbooks by default. I know that that's like another thing that people do right away when they look for homeschool curriculum. Very often they're pulling their kids out of school, or even if they aren't, if they're just starting their kids on the homeschooling journey, you do what you know. So what most people know are textbooks, but that really becomes a default method for a lot of people. You don't need to use textbooks when it comes to homeschooling. And that's why it is so important to take that time before you buy curriculum to figure out what it is that your family needs. Okay, now another thing that you want to do before getting curriculum is you really want to research homeschooling methods. There are so many different ways to homeschool. And you know, I couldn't even begin to address all of them in this video. I would be here forever. And to be honest with you, I don't know much about a lot of the homeschooling methods. I will discuss just a couple of them with you today so that you get an idea of what to look for in different homeschooling methods. But it's good to know what they are so that you can, as you watch your kids, see how they like to do things and then try to fit them into how you think that they would learn best and what homeschool approach would work best. So first of all, one homeschooling method that I think a lot of people revert to when they first start homeschooling is the school at home method. Now, the school at home method is the method that would be using textbooks, and that would really duplicate school at home. That's why it's called school at home. Now, in the past, I used to call it traditional homeschooling, but now since we have this whole bit of cyber schooling being called homeschooling, I've now started calling just all actual homeschooling styles traditional homeschooling, and cyber schooling is cyber schooling. So I don't call school at home traditional homeschooling anymore most of the time. I call it school at home. Now, school at home is best for kids who really do thrive on learning that way. And yeah, believe it or not, there are kids who learn best through textbooks and worksheets and quizzes and who actually enjoy it that way. Now, I will say that most of the time when we automatically assume that that's how our kids will learn best, we're probably not going to be right about it, because honestly, that method doesn't fit a lot of kids, but it does fit some kids. So another method or another homeschool approach would be the Charlotte Mason approach. And the Charlotte Mason approach is great for kids who enjoy real books, whether they themselves are reading them or whether they enjoy listening to them, whether it's through a parent reading aloud or through an audiobook. It's also great for kids who really enjoy nature and who do well with shorter lessons. Now, if you want a fuller explanation of what each of these methods is, I will try to find a link that better describes all of the homeschool approaches, but that really is something that you want to research on your own. One great book for doing this is called the Homeschooling Handbook, and I will definitely link that book in the description box below. I have read that book so many times, and I get useful information out of it every time. So another homeschool approach would be the unit study approach. And the unit study approach is really good for kids who like to delve deeply into topics, or who find interests that they have and they want to know everything there possibly is to know about that one subject. And unit studies are also great for kids who enjoy lots of hands-on activities, but who also enjoy having a variety of approaches in their way to learn. Because unit studies aren't, they're not about just worksheets. They're not about just writing. They're not about just reading living books. They're not about just hands-on activities. Unit studies really will take in all sorts of learning activities and learning tools in order to help kids. So another homeschool approach is unschooling. Unschooling is best for kids who know how to keep themselves busy and are naturally inquisitive and self-directed. If you have a child who is constantly telling you that they are bored over and over and over and over again, you might not want to try unschooling right away. But there are kids who are naturally driven and who don't need much prodding to be able to go out there and to find the things out that they want to learn. And those are the kids who are great when it comes to unschooling. And so the last one that I'm going to talk, and yeah, I'm just going to say right now, I'm not going to get into classical homeschooling. I'm not going to get into Waldorf homeschooling or Montessori, not because I have anything against those homeschool approaches, but just because I have never done those and I don't know much about them. I'm just trying to give you an overview of different ways that people learn in their homes. So anyway, so the last one that I'm going to be talking to you about is relaxed or eclectic homeschooling. And that's what I refer to myself as, is a relaxed homeschooler. And what a relaxed homeschooler is they take a bit of every learning style, or at least portions of them, the things that fit their own individual families, and they kind of have a mishmash of all of those things in their homes. And so, for example, with mine, I would say that my homeschool is a mixture of unschooling, Charlotte Mason, and unit studies. And so no two relaxed homeschooling or eclectic homeschooling families are the same, but that's the beauty of homeschooling. You don't have to be a homeschool approach purist. You don't have to say, okay, I'm going to pick the Charlotte Mason method and I absolutely have to 100% follow only the Charlotte Mason method. If you want to, and if that whole method works beautifully for you, yes, by all means do it, but you don't have to. You can take what works from each individual approach and just turn it into something that is going to work for you and your kids. So, now you're probably wondering, when am I going to get into helping you to choose curriculum? Well, this is when you take everything that you've learned from watching your kids and from figuring out how you yourself like to do things, and from reading up on all of those different homeschool approaches. And this is when you're going to start searching homeschool curriculum that fits your family best. And remember, this is all from the things that you have observed as you are hopefully deschooling before you start homeschooling. So one way to find good curriculum tips is through curriculum reviews. Kathy Duffy has lots of great curriculum reviews. You can also find them on blogs. You can find curriculum reviews on YouTube channels. And you know, I've done a few curriculum reviews, both here on my channel and on my blog. Now, one tip that I'm going to give to you about the reviews that you are reading is that there are a lot of people who do lots and lots of reviews, and it seems like they are reviewing a new curriculum every single week, and I mean like routinely. They're reviewing a curriculum every single week. And yeah, they might genuinely really enjoy the curriculum that they have reviewed, and they have told you how much they enjoy it. But the way to tell which curriculums have truly worked best for the people who are reviewing them is to pay attention to their other blog posts, the ones that are not reviews. Pay attention to their other videos, you know, ones that are not reviews, and how often do they organically speak about a specific curriculum. Because if you see them do a curriculum review and then they never mention it again, they might have enjoyed it at first but then found out that it really wasn't, you know, working like they thought it would. On the other hand, though, if you see someone mentioning things over and over and over again, that's a really great way to tell that, yeah, that's something that really does work. And you've probably seen that here with me. You know, I'm constantly referring to CTC Math. I'm constantly referring to CONUS. I'm constantly referring to Beautiful Feet books. And yes, those are curriculums that have stood the test of time in our homeschool. So that is really a great way for you to be able to kind of weed through what works in certain homeschools and what does not. So another way to get good tips, or I can't even like think properly the word that I'm looking for, but good suggestions on homeschooling is through homeschooling friends that you have, through acquaintances you know that homeschool, whether you have family members that are homeschooling. Did I say that already? So friends, acquaintances, and family members, they are all people that are great for just telling you what worked for them and what didn't. And that is actually really nice. It's if you have this option, it's much better in a way than reading reviews or watching video reviews, because if you have people who are actually homeschooling and who show you what they're using, you can page through things, and you can sometimes even ask them if you can sit and watch how they use it. So that is something that is more personal, and it's going to be an easier way for you to get your hands on things. Now, yeah, sometimes if you go to conventions or if you go to other homeschool curriculum sales, yes, you can also page through the curriculum there as well. But I find that it's much more relaxed if you have people that you personally know, and you can kind of just go to their house, have them come to your house, and you leisurely page through something while you're trying to figure out if this is something that might work. Another way that you can get good suggestions for homeschooling is if you belong to any online homeschool groups. And if you don't, you know, and if you are someone who does online groups, I do recommend this, because especially if you have figured out what homeschool method you want to use, try to find a homeschool group that is using a method that is similar or that is like the one that you have opted for. And that is a great place for you to get lots of suggestions. And I will tell you that so many times you will see a common thread of people who are using the same curriculum. You know, this family is using it, and this family is using it, and this family is using it. And that's a great way to tell of what curriculums are successful. Now, what this does not mean, though, is that it will automatically work for you. I say this all the time, but it's because I really think it's important that you understand this, is that every single homeschooling family is different. So just because something else worked for 10 families in your homeschool group does not necessarily mean that it's going to work for you. So that's really, really important. When you are choosing homeschool curriculum, you need to remember that people rarely get it right the first time. You need to be prepared to change curriculums if it is necessary. And you know, very often you don't get curriculum right the first time or the second time or even the third time. And so this is why I know that a lot of people, when they are looking for curriculum, especially if they are living on a tight budget, they will automatically go right for the cheapest curriculum that they can find. And that's actually what I did when I first started homeschooling. I just went right for kind of an all-in-one deal that was really inexpensive, and that's what I used for my kids. And it ended up, we didn't even use it for a full year because it just didn't work. So I know that it can be tempting to get things just because they're inexpensive, but chances are that you're going to end up changing, especially if you haven't even taken your kids' learning styles into account while you're doing it. So I'm going to repeat this again. You will very often have to change curriculum if it is not going to work. Now, this is where frugality comes in, especially if, again, you're living on a tight budget. I just want you to remember that, you can be frugal while you're homeschooling. Just because a curriculum is expensive does not automatically mean that it's good or good for your kids. And on the other hand, just because a curriculum is inexpensive doesn't mean that it's bad or bad for your kids. I have found that when it comes to my kids, the most frugal methods you can think of are the things that are most effective with them. So, I want you to consider using the library or free curriculum that's available online, even if it's temporarily, as you're searching out the different, curriculums that you can find or trying to figure out your kids' learning styles. You can definitely use the library. There's so much free or really, really inexpensive curriculum that you can find online that you could use in the meantime. And who knows, you might end up actually wanting to keep using it because it's working so well for you. The library is one of the best staples in our homeschool. It has saved us so much money, and it has kept my kids engaged, and it has kept them wanting to learn. And so I have not even had to spend much money on curriculum for several years now, just because the library has worked so well for us. So those curriculums that I'm talking about online, I'm just going to go over what a few of them are, and I'm going to tell you what homeschool approach they might help you to understand best. So for example, there's Easy Peasy online homeschooling, and that homeschool curriculum, it's free, and it would probably be geared more towards a school at home type of learning. There is Ambleside Online. That is also another free homeschool curriculum that you can use online, and that's geared more towards the Charlotte Mason approach. And then when it comes to unit studies, there are tons of either free or really, really low cost, like just a couple dollars for unit studies that you can get online. Now, I will tell you, when it comes to online unit studies, the difference between the free and the ones that are a few dollars that I've noticed is that the free ones, while they are very good, don't give you as much guidance and aren't as specific as the ones that you might be paying a few dollars for. The free ones might just be telling you different websites that you can try or different crafts that you can try, whereas the ones that you're paying a few dollars for might actually be giving you specific activities to do with your kids. So it really is up to you what you would like to try with your kids. So, as I close this video, I just want to say it again. I know that choosing curriculum can be overwhelming. I just want you to remember that you just need to take it one day at a time. And don't forget to have fun. You've got this. Anyway, that's all that I have for you today. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet and would like to hear more of what I have to say, I would love if you would do that. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave one over on Instagram because YouTube disabled my comments. And if you like my work and would like to check out my Patreon page, I will leave a link in the description box for that as well. And today I want to give a shout out to my newest Patreon patron, Bambi. Bambi, thank you so much for giving me your support. I am so happy to know that you have found what I do to be helpful, and I hope you all have a great day.